Ladies and gentlemen, get ready to embark on a journey like no other. Welcome to the Glum Lot Podcast,
your go-to destination for a unique blend of recovery and discovery.
I'm Brett.
And I'm Mark. And in this podcast, we will endeavor to create a safe and uplifting space for our guests and listeners to share their stories with sincerity and a touch of humor.
Remember, we are not a Glum Lot. The Glum Lot Podcast is more than just a source of entertainment. It's a beacon of hope, proving that even in the darkest moments, recovery is possible. Every story we share carries the power to inspire positive change.
So buckle up, get ready to listen, and join us in discovering the strength that lies within every individual's journey. This is the Glum Lot Podcast, where humor meets hope. Well, Brad, I would like to welcome you to episode 111.
It's so nice to be welcomed every single time we do this.
I'm a welcoming guy.
Well, it feels nice.
111. Episode 111.
Oh, yeah, no.
I remember episode 1, and I remember episode 11.
I know.
Now we're on 111. Lordy.
And we're on a roll, man. We got 2 in a row in a week.
Okay,
Woo.
And we're celebrating the success of our last episode, number 110, with Luis from the Chicago area. Yeah. So we were on, and we got him because he emailed the podcast.
I know,
and that's great. So,
and I love.
You should email
moments.
the podcast people out there in podcast land at the Glum Lot Podcast at gmail.com.
That would be the one.
Wait, is it it's just the Glum Lot? Is it the Glum Lot Podcast at Gmail or the Glum Lot?
Glum Lot Podcast.
Okay, I don't email it ever. So
welcome to the show, Mark.
Yeah, I forgot what it is. I never email. It's like when somebody asks you your phone number, you're like, I don't know. I don't call it.
Not anymore.
Anyway, also, please join our Facebook group, the Glum Lot Podcast at Facebook.
Yep. And if you have any ideas, criticisms, let us know. Well, keep your criticisms to yourself. Us alcoholics don't do well with that. But.
No, and I was at a business once when I was a kid. I think it was a putt-putt golf course. It said, if you loved us, tell others. If you didn't, tell us.
That's true.
Yeah, they want to know so they can correct it. And so do we.
Cool.
So what's on your mind?
Let's see. So I was thinking today.
Oh, boy.
Yep. But especially with some of the newcomers I've seen coming into the room lately, and I've heard a lot of criticism of people and criticisms of the program and just criticism in general.
Yeah.
And, they fully will say, I want this, right? But there's always a but. And I feel that that's just an easy thing to do, right? Because it's easier to not take the risk. It's easier to, what did you call it, to have contempt prior to investigation before finding out about it.
Yes.
But yet we want it.
But where do you think that comes from?
Fear.
Yes.
Of course it's fear.
Yes, it is.
It is fear.
I get it. I want to stop drinking, but I don't see why I got to write down all these things that are wrong with me and then tell somebody about them. How's that going to help me not drink?
We are wonderful reasoners.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I did the same thing.
Yeah, I did too.
I remember looking at looking up on the wall at the 12 steps at this clubhouse here where we are, and just thinking, I don't even know what this is. I'm just here to not drink only because I know it's bringing me pain.
Right.
But made a list of people we had harmed and became willing to make amends. I'm like, well, I never really harmed anybody. I didn't see any of it.
Yeah, you and I
just
were
didn't
like
see
that.
it yet.
Yeah, no.
And so, when you look at those steps when you first come in, forget them.
Right.
Because work on the step you're on. Don't even worry about the other ones.
That's right.
It's like when you keep it in today, keep it in the step you're working on.
Mm-hmm.
Don't worry forward.
And for God's sakes, be open to some ideas, because obviously your ideas look like they're not working.
Honesty, openness, willingness.
How?
That's how.
Yeah, that is how.
Yeah.
How?
Also, the same thing with people in AA.
Yes.
There are a myriad of different cultures and backgrounds and the way people grew up. And I remember when I started going to AA, I had never hung out with a biker, like a guy that looked like a biker.
God. Are you kidding me?
And I was like,
Oh, I did a lot of.
What's this about?
When I.
And now I know a lot of bikers, and they're great guys, and all they do different than me is ride motorcycles.
Yeah, right.
And they dress for riding motorcycles, and it is a little bit of a subculture. They like that,
yeah.
Just like I'm in a band, so I do band stuff. You know what I mean? Yeah. So there's a lot of that. It really opened up my eyes to the fact that we are all really meeting on the level.
Yeah.
so to speak. It is the anonymity of the program is that we are all anonymous alcoholics participating on an equal plane.
Yeah.
No better,
And that's why
no
we
worse.
introduce ourselves as
Yes,
alcoholics.
and I always
humiliating.
thought that was weird too.
No, it's to keep us humble.
Yes, and to let us know that we are all the same.
Yeah.
You know, my name is blah. I'm an alcoholic,
That's right.
and that's what everybody says. I'm an alcoholic.
It kind of takes the ego away right away.
Right. It's the fucking qualifier, isn't it?
Yeah, right.
I
Exactly.
belong here. So who's our guest today, Mr. Brett?
So today we have a gentleman that I met at one of our meetings, my home group meeting, and he was talking about his struggles and that he had gone through a lot of medical stuff, but he's overcome it, and he is really into the program now. And so I'm really excited to have Mike on the show.
Welcome, Mike. Welcome to the Glumlot Podcast, Mike.
Hey, Mike.
Thank you. Hey, you guys.
Glad to have you.
Hey, you guys.
It's going to be like that the whole time?
Pretty much. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So let's start with your sobriety date.
Sure. My sobriety date is 7/20/25.
Okay, so we're coming up on
a
a
year.
Yeah, we're getting
Yeah.
close, actually.
Excellent.
fantastique.
Ah.
And we like to go back to the beginning, to your first experience with drugs and or alcohol and the effects thereof.
Yes.
Sure.
And we like to know all the details.
The nitty and gritty?
Yes, the both.
Nooks and crannies?
All of it.
Cool. I mean, my parents were drinkers, but I really wasn't when I was younger. I was going through my teen years. I mean, heck, I could have said, I'm a straight edge, basically. I just didn't
Really?
see that in my future.
Was that because
whatsoever.
you witnessed your parents drinking?
I mean, they weren't. It's ironic because I wouldn't say they were heavy drinkers, but on that same coin, there was always a beverage in the household in some fashion. So I could have gotten away with things, but the trust
But
was there.
the culture never appealed to you.
No, it really didn't. I would see the side effects of a New Year's Eve party and the hangovers and the awkward 4th of July's with fireworks that just went awry, and I'm like, ooh, that doesn't look right for me.
Yeah,
so,
right.
Impressionist little 16, 17-year-old eyes, I was just not for it. It wasn't until early college.
So you weren't one of our guests that started at 6.
No, I mean,
We get a lot of those.
Yeah.
I tasted it at 6.
Oh,
a little
sure.
6-year-old running around
Didn't
the
like
yard,
it,
and
right?
there was a Coca-Cola sitting on the picnic table, and I grabbed it and sipped it, and it was a whiskey and Coke. And I learned very quickly. I'm like,
That's terrible.
Grandma, what's going on?
Yeah,
right.
gams. So what happened in college?
Sure. I mean, I was a college kid that I lived off campus. So the first year I was living on campus, I was a good kid going to my classes and lived the life. And then I moved off campus and started working in restaurants. And working in the restaurant business kind of goes hand in hand with, it could have gone into many other things.
Oh, absolutely.
The owners were known to give you a $20 bill to go buy liquor when they're low on it, and it was covered in a white powder, so you kind of knew what was going around in the business.
Right.
But when you're allowed to clean the kitchen and given a pitcher of beer, I really wasn't complaining about that at the time.
Oh, sure.
So one thing led to another, and it just turned into beer was basically convenient at the time. It was an easy drink, but I still wanted to do well in school, and I think it was we started to pile up the liquor bottles on the wall like trophies.
Oh, yes. We used to make stained glass windows out of them.
Yeah, in essence. Yeah, they were just like, oh, that was last Thursday, and that was a good Thursday.
Yes, what an accomplishment.
But
Now, let me ask you this.
Go ahead,
So
please.
what was your experience like with the first time you caught a really good buzz?
Sure. It was with the restaurant crew, really. We ended up being the house that people would come to hang out at because we worked in a local restaurant, and conveniently enough, we were close enough to the restaurant that everyone could go there after a Sunday shift. You could work the mornings at a diner at 6 a.m. and then at 3 o'clock go get wasted at Mike's house. So those Sundays would be where I would be like, not just a matter of, oh, this is, let's just have a drink because it's the weekend, but it was where to be. And that's where I would see myself, not remembering what was going on in those nights and see pictures the next day, but feeling good about it.
Yeah,
Like,
but
it wasn't-
so the effect though.
Yeah.
Do you remember it washing over and just going, wow?
Yeah, I was always a socially anxious person. I was always second guessing myself.
I think that's one of our traits. for
Holy
sure.
cow.
Yeah.
It was just a part of me where, I would think about what I said 6 months later about that one sentence I said and how I could have rephrased that. And I cared so much about the impression I was making on people.
I feel attacked.
Why is that?
I don't know. I'm not attacked. You're just talking about me.
Honestly.
Yeah, it is
And I'll
true.
look back on it, and if I could redo that, how would I redo it? And then when I would drink, I would say things. People would laugh, and I'm like, oh, I'm king shit right now. Like, this barrier that I've been worrying about is gone. okay, so let's just incorporate that into my standard daily life in some way. And so afternoons and, weekends became afternoons. And I remember probably sophomore year in college, we had leftovers from a party, and I'm getting some stuff done around the house and school work, and we still had Kahlua. And at first I'm just like, oh, well, I'm having coffee. That probably will mix A-OK well. So I had some Kahlua with my coffee.
I can verify that it does.
It did, didn't it? And that's what proceeded into, finding convenience and feeling loose about it, at least in the college days. I still completed I still found myself a functioning student with alcohol. I felt good about it.
I remember the first time I caught the effect of alcohol.
Yeah.
And one element of it that I really didn't realize until recently was there was an element of surprise to it. Like, I'm like, oh.
Yeah,
sure.
right?
I'm like, holy shit.
Yeah.
This is nice.
Right.
But there was I didn't expect it.
Sure.
And
yeah.
so I felt that, and I'm like, this is home to me now. You know?
To have the anxiety taken away.
Yes.
I don't have to pretend about what I'm doing right now. And also, I didn't, at that point in time, I wasn't feeling regret for actions that I was...
Right, there was no consequences.
Whatsoever. And no one's calling me on the bluff either.
Not only is it not unmanageable, it's actually making my life quite much more manageable.
Right.
Right?
Which was...
very appealing.
I'm about to say, why would that not be appealing? I don't have to worry about these things, and I could just walk around and still pursue a daily life.
And we don't know. We don't know.
Not by any means. I thought that, at that point in time, I didn't think I was beating the system.
No wonder everybody does it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's the thing, is it's the propaganda
Social
behind
lubrication.
it. Holy guac. Is, weekends in college, you want to do that, but also everywhere you go, it's advertisements, even, Dollar Thursdays downtown.
And we always say that we find our people.
Oh, yes.
And so you find your people, it becomes the center of your social activity. Let's get together and blah, blah, blah with alcohol.
For sure.
Football game, drink. Golf, drink. Bowling, drink. Go out, drink.
Movie, drink.
Yeah. Come to my house and do nothing, drink.
Drink.
Yeah. And
Drink,
wake
drink.
up, drink.
Yes. And so after college, that's when it just continued as daily life.
So you graduate from college.
Yep.
You get a degree, you go to work?
So I left school with a degree in philosophy. So
you became a professional philosopher.
Exactly.
Very
or
in
an
demand.
alcoholic.
Very in demand.
Exactly. With philosophy, you either go to school for law after or you teach it. And I was like, I'm liking the drinking thing because I can rely on myself. So I really didn't have a specific degree to jump right into some field of business. And so I went back into the restaurant business while I looked for a job. And by doing that, it just continued that perpetual lifestyle of working until midnight to 1 a.m., get home, and I don't have to be anywhere until, 3 or 4 o'clock the next day.
And you worked very hard.
I did. You darn right. Try working a Mother's Day.
Yeah,
oh, my
right.
gosh. That is, and with it being almost 100 degrees in Syracuse right now, working those summers.
Yeah, right.
You need, water's not going to give you the effect you need in this kind of temperature, I promise you.
Yeah, I had my years in the restaurant biz.
Yeah.
And it was the height of my acceleration and progression of my alcoholism. And there was I must say I had the same owners you did because they always had blow until the place went under.
Sure, of course. Oh, the fights they would get into. It's always, they're not here telling their story, I'll tell you.
But that environment is just stokes it. And it's fun.
Oh, sure.
Oh, God,
you help the bartender get something out earlier, they're going to hook you up with a drink, and you're like, okay,
you worked
cool.
hard together and you're played hard
Boom.
together.
Teamwork, yeah.
Yep.
So I'm guessing the disease progresses.
Very much so. For a long time, I left that job because I was lucky enough to get a management role at a music store, a local one that I did for a handful of years. It was about 4 or 5 years, and the anxiety at that business because I was thrown right into salary. I was very lucky. I was hired at full time. Manager quit, and they're like, "You could do it," and I'm like, "Cool, let's do it." It was a sales position, management. I was fresh out of college, and I love, always wanted to be in music in some fashion. That was
nice,
win-win. Went into it, and in a sales job comes, you think stress in a restaurant business, the stress that came from that type of position. I would, of course, drink more and more just to alleviate just the anxiety of always being on the clock in management. And that's been a since decision that I made that I'm just not going to do that anymore. And that's not when it really took the stranglehold as much as it did when I left that position, just because fiscally it wasn't there. Unfortunately, I wasn't spiritually well in that fashion. So in my head, I'm like, money's everything, and I'm not making it. So I left that for another sales position with a mobility company. And so I was working there, and it was, again, a sales position, but I could handle it in a way that, I was able to sell the way I sell. And that's where the drinking, again, I was able to drop that anxiety.
Yeah.
And drinking really
because
kicked in with that.
anxiety stops you from being able to even have conversations with people.
Correct.
Right? And to be able to do the things that are necessary for selling because you're second guessing yourself and I'm going to hear no and all that stuff.
Yes.
When you consume, those go away.
Yes, very much so. And that's where it was later on when I was working that job that everything really kicked into high gear. It would be a matter of I would go home on my lunch break because you get an hour lunch, and I lived close enough to the location that I was working that I would have 1 or 2 gin and tonics and be like, okay, now I'm feeling like I could sell things.
Right.
So I would leave work, and it became the routine.
Businessman's lunch.
Oh, my goodness. It was like I could handle just a milk, and it wasn't the case. It was milk with a little whiskey in it.
Yeah.
For
Somebody's
sure.
read the bid book.
And so did it ever occur to you that, like, God, I really need this?
Yes.
I need it to function.
I relied on it so much that, and I think it was progression over time, that I didn't know who my personality was when I didn't drink towards the tail end of my alcoholism.
Yeah.
And I am still discovering, and that's part of the story of recovery after, but I'm still discovering who the hell I am.
Sure.
Because,
It's like that whole, with me and probably you and you, it's like I want to feel normal, so I have to drink.
yeah.
And when you're not under the influence of it, you feel very abnormal.
Yeah.
You feel uncomfortable in your own skin. And I got to get normal. It's like when drug addicts say, I gotta get well. Mm-hmm. That's our well.
Yeah.
And it's so easy once you fall into that. It's a fucking spiral, man.
It was tough, and it progressed. I mean, the hardest that it really progressed, because that became part of my daily life, was the functioning alcoholic. That's what,
Yes.
gosh, that term. It's just basically I'm an alcoholic that has a job.
Yep.
Good definition.
I was crushing it, let me tell you. Because those afternoons I was working, I was much more fluid in the way I was working. I was comfortable, so I'm like, well, then let's have some in the morning so that way I could go in there ready to go and be comfortable. And I did that for a long while in that job, and I was doing well. And it wasn't, alcohol, as much as it was hurting me, and I wasn't really, what's the opposite of reaping the benefits? Gosh, I wasn't yet just really getting stricken by the proverbial invisible 2x4.
Yeah.
So you felt it was working for you.
It was. It really was.
The only thing that could be better is more.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
And I was lucky enough, and it's still, the greatest thing in the entire world. I was lucky enough to find out that my wife was pregnant. And and this was 2016, we found that out.
Let me ask you this then.
Go right ahead.
Did your wife ever say anything to you about your alcohol consumption?
In the further ends of it, yes, because at that time it was maintainable, and of course, everybody that feels like they could get away with it, and it was alcoholic in them, I was hiding it so well but yes, there were times that it was brought up that it was, I was trying to hide it so much, and that was in the later stages of it for sure, that I was really trying to hide it, thinking that I was king shit, and I would be able to get away with it because I could function with it. And drinking was just part of my everyday life anyway, so it was slightly accepted in that sense. But I was also, the consideration behind it was when it was really affecting me, I could hide it so well in some sense that she was thinking I was having anxiety attacks, when I was trying to self-sober myself, when I was trying to detox myself, I would be having, of course, the DTs, and I would be shaking, and I would sweat, and I couldn't eat, and that's the tail end of it. But there would be concern, and she was thinking that I was having anxiety issues, and I started to go to therapy towards the end of it. And I didn't even tell my therapist that I was a drinker at all. So I'm trying to discover what's the issue.
Right. It
with
can't
me.
be the alcohol.
No. And I would go with drinks in me, of course. I would already have some. I got to relax before I go talk to my therapist.
Did you think your therapist knew?
I had to have, and that's where I said, I used to, gosh, when the pity party really kicked in for me, I used to say, gosh, if I really was this bad, man, people would throw an intervention for me. If they're not throwing an intervention for me, then I'm doing it right.
I like your word, throw an intervention.
Oh,
like
for sure. It's like a
party.
party. I'm waiting for the day to come home, and there's streamers, and they're just waiting for me.
All right, so you're using pretty regularly now to function.
Sure.
You find out
She's
daughter's
pregnant.
on the way.
Yep, little bro, actually.
Oh, sorry. I thought
No,
you
you're
said that.
fantastic.
Yeah.
No worries. I
I know
didn't
that.
claim it. So, and humble.
Yes. Working on
I'll
it.
bring that up at our next meeting.
Yes.
Humility I want to talk about today. And I find that out, and in my head, I'm like, okay, well, I need to really, show up and shape up where, I could say big words.
You got to be a dad.
Yeah, so big words don't mean big actions, though. So that's where my hiding habits got in really strong, because I wanted to show strength in sobriety, or at least a willingness to slow it down. But that's where, if I've gotten away with it so long, I'm going to apparently I can still get away with it. And so that's where I would start hiding liquor bottles around the house. And I would come home and saying I only have one when I had two in the trunk. And
So this
that
is where
way,
you start living the double life.
correct statement.
Yep.
Correct. That portion of my brain that now is just very empty because I don't have to hide those things.
Right.
Holy spit. The clarity where that kicked in is a wonderful thing. But until that time, it was, just a couple bottles that I say a couple, but it would be the days that I would be excited that it's trash day and she went to work so that way I could bring out the bottles 2 seconds before the trash men show up.
Of course.
Because you got to bring out the clinky bag of liquor
Oh,
bottles
right.
and the neighborhood's not going to judge me because I'm going out there right before they show up. So I'm still beating the system over here.
Yeah.
And that's where it progressed of kiddo was born, but I was still in the process of hiding it. And that's where, I
Were
would
there any
continue.
consequences up until this point? Like, where you got in trouble or got...
At work, I didn't. I got pulled over a couple of times where I'm like, this is it. This
of
is
course.
it.
I'm done.
And how in the world I'm sitting here? Either I'm talking the right way, where I'm like tilting my head, where I'm
It's just
talking.
a crick in my neck.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I don't smell like lemon citron vodka, not by any means. Even though vodka is one of the sharpest smelling. Nope, not at all. And I had all those instances where I could have had that moment, and it didn't happen to me. So in my head, again, I'm beating the system. I'm doing it right. Physically, I wasn't really getting those consequences until about late 2019, 2020 is when it really started kicking in of the early versions of my body saying, what the fuck are you doing to yourself?
Like, what? Can you describe that?
Of course. So I would wake up and I would have a couple of drinks in the morning. And not drinks like I would have a couple of beers. It would be, shots in
Liquor.
the morning. Yeah,
Yeah.
of course, to get me going. I would come home on my lunch break, same thing. And then when I would get home, I would have early drinks before having my dinner drink because you have to have a dinner with drink or a drink with dinner, of course.
Right.
And so when I wouldn't have that, or if it would be a prolonged period between the breakfast and lunch period, that's where I would start having shakes. My face, gosh, the fact that I can get a little bit of a tan and not be like, hey, I've been drinking all day. The beet red faces when I look at old photos of myself was like, I've been to the Bahamas and back 15 times.
So it was showing up physically.
All the time.
Did you at any point during this period of time were you like, I got to do something about this?
Sure. It got bad to where I would actually start seizing. In the early 2000s, 2020 was the year that it really started kicking in. And again, I thought it was anxiety, and my wife backed me up, just saying, "You've been really under a lot of pressure. You got the kiddo, but she's always been so supportive that I'm so lucky to have, and she's still with me. So bless
They're
my heart.
saints.
That's my heavens. Draw a bath for her, I think, is what I've heard you guys say recently.
Oh, yes. Scotty.
Draw a bath for that
Scotty. Go on and draw a bath. That's right.
And so, but in that time frame, I would start. I remember one night I was in the kitchen, and thankfully, we would still drink recreationally, but I would still be the one that was
Continuing.
I would have 2 liquor bottles of the one that we would have like a recreational shot to celebrate or have sadness or something like that. But I also have the same bottle in the basement, so I could start replacing it, refilling it, so that way it wouldn't even look like I've touched anything.
Right, so you're working hard to protect the drink.
Protect the drink was like my.
But did it ever
quest.
occur to you that I have to stop? I have to get help. It's
At that time, no.
No, you're still trying to manage it.
Still trying, and the seizing really, I felt, I just felt like, oh gosh, there's actually something physically wrong with me. I should at least get something checked out.
What was your seizing like?
I wasn't down and out, but I physically could not. I remember I had to go down to my knee one day in the kitchen. It was the middle of wintertime, and I thought it was just nerves because anxiety would still kick in.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
So I would go down to my knee, and I couldn't physically stand myself up. My body was shaking, and in my mind, it was anxiety that is causing this, and I would
Which makes you
ask
more
for
anxious.
Of course it does. So the fuel, the fire was just even more fueled in that scenario, and my wife would help me stand up, and my hands would be just physically, it was a mixture, probably a mixture of an anxiety attack, because since I've still experienced them.
Enough.
Yes, very much so. And so at that time, what I did was I actually did go to the hospital. I went to a local hospital, and they admitted me, and I stayed for one night. At that time, I stayed one night and was filled with potassium because my potassium levels were very, very low, and was given a multitude of medications from a doctor that was very reluctant to give it to me because I left against doctor's orders because they knew something else was up.
Oh.
So they were getting closer. You're like, I'm out of here.
I was onto it, and they were onto me. I mean, they
Yeah.
were seeing through my bullshit like it was nothing. And so I left against doctor's orders. That was the beginning of March of 2020. 2 weeks later, the world shut down.
Right.
So,
Right.
and I somehow I didn't have a drink
Interesting.
for 2.5 months.
So COVID hits, you quit drinking.
I quit drinking.
Oh, shit.
And I didn't have...
Even with all the anxiety and the unknowns. of
Somehow,
COVID.
I truly did. And I was taking sleeping pills to help with that. And that's where I remember, because I tried to look back on it because it relapsed. Oh, did I relapse?
Yeah.
And at that time, I was, somehow I got them the potassium. They had it in me for about 24, 48 hours. Well, it was 24 hours I was there. And they avoided me. They wouldn't come talk to me because they knew I was trying to leave. So their goal was to refill. IV was still in me, so I couldn't leave if I had the IV in me. I did all I could. I maintained sobriety for, about the 2 months. Very productive around the house. I felt good, and I thought it was something that, I beat the hard part. I did it. And that means I should be able to maintain this.
Right.
I could get back into I'm going to be Buffalo sober. And so
Right.
I'm going to show up and I'm going to have some hard iced teas because you guys, it's summertime. Mm-hmm. The pool's open. Let's have some iced
So
teas.
you figured, boy, that was wild.
That was
I'm
nuts.
out of that now.
Whew.
I got this.
I have a tattoo of a banana on my arm, even though it's comical, but because I got potassium for 20 hours and that was my bout with alcoholism.
Yeah.
Thank God there's a cure.
Trophy.
Now-
I did it.
Never any drugs or weed or
No,
coke or nothing, huh?
No actual. In college, maybe once or twice that I dabbled in weed, and it drove me so loopy on the mindset, along with the alcohol, because it was always mixed with alcohol anyway.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the constant.
I'm like.
So
that-
alcohol was your jam.
Oh yeah, for
No
sure,
doubt.
because I could control it.
Yeah, of course. So
Love the control.
you're out on now. Were you stuck at home during COVID, or did you
Yes.
still go in? Okay,
Yes.
you're working out of home.
So the mobility company I worked with thankfully said we can't be open because
Right.
we weren't considered essential, and so they paid during leave time.
Wow.
What is a mobility company?
Cell phones.
Oh,
Yeah, so I work.
Okay.
Yeah, not like physically mobile.
that's what I was thinking.
Oh, I'm not that
It was
active.
like those, those
Yeah.
electronic.
I've been working out, but no, I'm.
Yeah.
Okay, so
yeah, that
so you're
rewrites it a
shut
little
down.
bit.
You go on unemployment.
No, it's the company that paid for us,
Paid.
thankfully.
Nice.
Yeah, they said we can't open our doors. So, and they did. I think it was probably 7-8 months after that they did open doors
Yeah,
again.
but for that stretch, you're home. You're doing good.
No
Doing okay for
stressors.
about-
So what happens?
Well, we weren't essential, but liquor stores were, and so having the
Consumables.
Yes.
yes, and so having the iced teas starting, summertime's going, and I remember that it was just like, well, let's try having a margarita, and it was it was recreational. It was the family, and we were okay. And I remember that I made 2 margaritas, and I came out and I said, oh, I forgot something. I went back inside and I poured the shot, and I had 2 shots of tequila just to see
And the
like maybe
romance
it's still.
began again.
And even, my wife saw it and she's like, why is the shot glass back out? And I'm just like, oh, I didn't put everything away from
Right,
it. I
right,
just,
right,
and
right,
that's where it just started
We
again.
suck, don't we?
God dang it,
Dude,
man.
We're fucking liars.
And I just
man.
make, and gosh,
we think we're so smart too, don't we?
to make the lie and then have to come up with the other lie
I
to
did
cover
the
the
same
lie.
shit.
Oh, God,
Uh,
yes.
Yeah.
And that's where that started, and it continued the game of hiding the bottles, because it was just like, oh, they're open. This is easy then. And that's where I got back into the habit, because she was essential. She was working through a medical field, and so she had to go to work.
Yeah.
And I was able to work around situations of if I had to run out for groceries or Home Depot, because Home Depot, I think, was still open those times
my
for some
God.
reason.
Yeah, it
And
was.
the lines for those, I repainted the entire house when I was sober. But that's where it really kicked in again. And I went to work again in my cell phone mobility.
Yes.
Me,
Thank you
job.
for the old
And
people like myself.
I was able to wear a mask. And in my head, I'm like, well, if I'm wearing a mask, they can't smell
Oh,
anything.
my God.
So goodness golly, and slowly but surely I got back into the habit, of course, that it got really bad of I couldn't eat all the time. If I wasn't having a drink within a certain amount of time frame, I would be throwing up.
Yeah, and
It
food
was
is not appealing when you get to
in
that.
my
Did
system.
did it occur to you that alcohol was destroying you physically at the time, or were you
Starting
just
to
like,
get there.
okay?
Starting
so
to
you're
get
starting
there.
to go, geez.
But I got to figure out, well, if it's something that I need to have consistently, and I'm doing well with this, I can function, then why not quit the job that you're in right now.
Oh, yeah.
Even though you're stable and you have a child at home, let's quit the job and find something I can do at home. So many people are doing stay at home now. I should do that. And I put in a 2-week and quit. And I just took some time to find myself and find out, what my new favorite drinks I could mix and make were. And so I started, working from home. I now currently do what I was doing while I was working from home. I edit podcasts. I'll put it out there. That's fine.
Yep.
And I've been doing that for a while now. But during that time frame, it was a job that I could work from home. I could drink when I wanted to, and not have it affect me. Now, at that time, it basically turned I need to rely on it in the morning, afternoon, and evening, to I can make it a constant balance. Any time of day, I can have a drink and get away with it. And I was excited about the stay-at-home aspect because I could be in my head. I had parents that worked all the time, and they were never around, so I could now be the dad that's around all the time. So I could go on field trips, and I can go to school meetings. I can go to the pharmacy with my son to get his COVID shot.
Had some good ideals.
And have the pharmacist say, make sure you don't stop at the liquor store on the way home.
Because
I smelled like
say
rum.
that.
Yeah, and I was like, I know, it's
right?
a crazy world out there. And so I was basically taking part in that all the time. And it was 2022 that it was really at that point in time, I was functioning, I was doing well, and I didn't foresee it being an issue because I was still functioning.
Yep.
There
Everything was
are
fine.
times, where our drinking career's going along, and we have bumps, we have tough times.
Yep.
But it's those times that seem to be okay that keep us going, that keeps the denial that we're going to be able to manage this.
Yeah.
And you go, well, wait a minute. Last month this will pass.
Right.
Yeah,
And it was.
justifies what we're doing.
Yeah.
And so, since I didn't have it, it wasn't. I was still in my head breaking down the mask that I would have to wear of anxiety. Mm-hmm. This is treating me well. I can still be myself. I'm around my friends, and they're not calling me out. So I'm beating the system here. I'm working from home, but I can go to the liquor store once the kiddo's on the bus. I'm beating the system. All these things are going my way. Everything's coming up Mike.
All right, this is working for me.
I'm still doing well. And that's where it's funny. You're like, why is Mike here? He beat the system. He did it. Well, not quite. 2022, my brother passes. Heroin overdose. Only younger brother that I had. And booze pity party. If you could have the pity party go to 2,000 instead of 10, it did. Because it's woe is me. Why would this happen to me? All that good stuff. And I couldn't sleep because I'm the one that's signing the funeral papers because my parents can't handle it right now. They're under so much stress about this that I'm like, I'm putting all of this pressure on myself. So I need to, if you can drink to celebrate something, then you can drink hard to grieve something. And I took that as an excuse to grieve as hard as I could.
Turn it up, huh?
And it was, I didn't need to hide the bottles because it was just obvious that that was a very tough summer for me. And it was, but I mean, loss of anybody is always a tough one, a loved one. It sucks. And I always used him though as an excuse. And this wasn't until my sobriety that I came to realize this, that he put on his pants the same way I did. And he suffered from a disease of addiction. And I always used him as an excuse. Well, I'm not as bad as he is.
Yeah, right. A comparable.
He's stealing shit from my family. I'm not doing that.
Yep.
He can't hold a job. I have a stable job and a kid. I always compare myself and try to put myself on a pedestal just because I always had such low self-esteem that in my head, if I could, and I would try to reach out to him and help, but even when he told me, he's like, I went to an A, I got my 2-month ship. I'm doing it. And he started to sober up at one point in time, and unfortunately, tides didn't turn that way, and disease got him in another form. And I took it as, well, gosh, he bit the bullet, but I'm still surviving. I'm doing okay, so I'm going to grieve the way that I do.
I'm not going that route.
And I went hard in the paint.
Did the physical problems come back?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, and that was where over the next 2 years, I was so. It was. I used it as the summer as an issue where I'm like, I'm grieving through the summer, and I would tell my friends that, and I would tell my wife that, and then. I would see my parents still grieving about certain things, or they would post things on Facebook, or they would. I would just find reasons that it would trigger it again, and I would just be like, "Well, now I have to." Here comes another bender. Physically, though, it became prevalent that those physical, I can't eat feelings I can't live without it. And I was reading through it earlier today. I kept a little notepad diary to try to convince myself to stop drinking at one point in time because of how bad my esophagus hurt from throwing up all the time. There were times that the eating, I understood, just wasn't going to be part of me unless my body was truly craving it. And even then, it would, like, in my head, I'm like, an IV in me would just be the true savior. And I should just take myself, to the hospital just to get myself nourishment. But summer of 2025, or not summer, but 2025 was when, again, it was still functioning. I could get by with just drinking a protein shake and have my wife make me a meal at night.
Take
and
some vitamins.
I would. Oh, my medicine cabinet was filled with so many because I would go back to the medication list that I was given when I left the hospital in 2020. Recreate those from vitamins, and also if you take ashwagandha, it will help your anxiety. And if you take vitamin B and D and potassium, I'm like,
I'll have all the necessary things, and I can still do what I have to do.
And I'll look like I'm eating a meal.
The lengths will go to.
I went there.
You know what I mean?
Oh my goodness!
And so your body is revolting.
100%.
It's like rebelling against you.
100%. And go ahead.
And at this point, it's the alcohol, right?
Yes. That's where I came to the conclusion. Ironic that step one was my step one before I even went to the hospital. I realized I was powerless over alcohol, and in that sense, I meant I can't function without it.
Yeah. It was the ruler.
It is my life now. I decided right before I took my kid out trick or treating in 2024. I said, I'll be right back. And I stepped out dressed up in my Halloween costume, and I threw up in the back patio area just because I'm like, well, if I don't do it now, I'm going to do it while I'm walking my kid. So I can't do it then. Wow. So I'm going to do this now. And then I walk up and, all right, let's go hit the neighborhood.
What a hellish existence.
It was that. And then we'd be having a barbecue, and I'll be right back. And I would go upstairs I would go in the bathroom upstairs and see the window there, and I would pull the shade down, and I would throw up in that bathroom. And I'd have eye drops on me at all times. Because if I just put the drops in, they're not going to know. So I would just have the eye drops in me. Throwing up was probably 6-7 times a day.
Oh, did your wife have any idea?
It was getting to the point in time where she was telling me basically flat out, like, you need to control your, like, there needs to be a stop to this. There was it would get to the point in time of there will be changes if a change doesn't happen.
Sure,
was told to me.
Okay.
Her and my favorite little dude in the world, and and still in my head it was like, I can go to regulation then. I can control it. Let me control it. And I will.
Did she have any idea what you were going through physically? I mean, you hit it very well, right?
Yes. I think in the end, because we've known each other a long, long time. We've known each other since we were 15. High school sweethearts and all that good stuff. And so she could see through me like a wet sheet of paper.
And if you're at that point, you got to be starting to show it.
100%.
Yeah.
And that's where it was that summertime. 2025, about May or something like that. It would be only so long that I couldn't be eating a meal, and I would be getting the shakes. And I'd go out to dinner, and I remember walking my family to the car, and I'm holding my son's hand, and it's May, and he's like, "Dad, are you cold?" And I'm like, "What do you mean?" And he's like, "Well, your hand is shaking." And because I had the non-drink shakes because a beer's not going to do it for me at a restaurant nearby. And then it was the summer. It's always been the summer apparently for me because that's when it kicks in. Yeah. But it was the beginning of July last year that we were eating dinner. I was trying to, and my son looked at me across the table, and this is all of a 8-year-old boy, and he goes, "Dad, why are you turning yellow?" Just flat out at the dinner table. Am I? And my wife's like, "Yeah, it's been kicking on a little bit." And I went in the mirror and I looked at myself, because I hated looking at myself in the mirror. I couldn't look myself in the mirror at all, except for when I'm trying to pep talk myself, like, "You're not going to do this anymore." Even though my hands would cramp so much, like my thumb wouldn't be able to move because I would throw up so hard into the, like, holding the toilet, that the muscles would spasm and I would just like have these.
And you're dehydrated.
You don't really think about this at the time, but like, you were dying.
Yes.
Absolutely. That slow alcoholic death.
Very much so.
It's fucking ugly.
Very much so. And it was that month that he told me I was yellowing, and I started to bloat. And bloat.
The ascites? Was that what was going on with that?
So I ended up going to ended up going to a local hospital for it because because I always tried to make a joke about it. And I started looking like Arnold Schwarzenegger and Jr. It expanded.
Yeah.
I had an Audi belly button.
Yeah.
And I went to the hospital, and I got to the hospital. I went to the ER, 45 people in the room. And my wife drove me, and I'm in my head, I'm just going to do the banana thing again.
Yep.
I'm going to show up, potassium 24 hours, and I'm going to kick myself to the curb. Have a good one, Mike. And I get in there, and 50 people in the ER, and I'm trying to sign myself in because you have to sign yourself into the ER, and I'm shaking so bad it looked like I wrote it with my left foot. I couldn't, the scribbles on that, and I sat down, and I was bloated, and I could just feel my body responding weird, and I'm like, this is not going to be good. I'm not going to make this. And they called me in 2 seconds.
Oh, God,
they saw it.
What is going on with that guy? And I came in, and they talked to me for a couple minutes, admitted me, and that was the 20th of July last year. They admitted me into the local hospital, checked me out, I was there. I mean, that's where I detoxed, basically. And I was there for a couple weeks. It was tests upon tests upon tests. My gosh, I think that I have one on my laundry list. They were trying to figure out what was wrong with me, but still telling me like your main goal is strong. Another local hospital.
Yeah.
That
Yep.
they're specialists of what we're going to be dealing with you. And I mean, but I was still going through withdrawals at the time. I was getting the fluids finally, but I was also alcoholically detoxing.
Yeah.
And my family that would come visit me at that time were like, you were gone.
Yeah.
I would just sleep. I wouldn't eat still. I was still learning to eat, but I was still trying to control everything in the hospital. So at one point in time, I think, because I'm so used to being independent now, working from home and being able to juggle all these things, that even get up to go to the bathroom myself, I couldn't. I still needed help, and I didn't have a room with a bathroom, so they had to get a commode for me to even have me sit on. But at that time, I was still slightly walking around, and I hated it to where I tried to take the IV out myself. And they came in, they're like, "What the hell are you doing?" And I was on bed rest rule to where I couldn't. Long story short, after having colonoscopies in front of med students and being in the hospital for X amount of months and being told that we're going to transfer you because my bloating was so bad, we're going to transfer you to another hospital that's
Did they
liver
still not
specialists.
diagnose you?
I wasn't told fully there. They said you're going to learn more at the next hospital because we think things are going wrong with your liver and it's getting pretty serious, and they're going to be the ones to truly diagnose you.
Oh, no
and I
shit.
think they're trying to figure out whether or not I was going to be a candidate for a transplant.
It was gone.
My liver was completely failed.
Yeah.
My kidneys were now being affected. The bloating that was occurring, to bring it back to your question, was the kidney functioning failing. And what was happening is I wasn't able to, because I was throwing up so much and wasn't able to keep anything down. My kidney wasn't producing urine. I hadn't urinated for probably 2 weeks.
Incredible.
Shit.
Yeah. Incredible.
Did they ask you about alcohol consumption?
I lied through my teeth.
Yeah.
Of course I did. I said I had stopped drinking a couple months ago.
Okay.
And I mean, you look at my numbers, I'm sure they could have said, he quit drinking 20 minutes ago.
Right.
So you go to this other hospital.
Yes, I was transported after finally getting approval. They had to find a bed for me, and there was a struggle in that process too. But I'm sent to the other hospital. And full team, it was like boot camp of tests, and I feel so bad for my family. And in my head, I'm going through the guilt trip because I'm the reason that I'm being put here and all my whatever. I don't want to say whatever about it because people had to jump through hoops to make sure that my home life still worked, and I wasn't able to be there and
So you
work
did
with
an
them.
about face as far as that goes, right? Because before you're like, I've got this handled, everything's great,
Sure.
nobody knows, and now
I tried to leave.
Yeah.
The first hospital, when I
yeah.
was in the local one, and they told me that we can't send you home because something very bad will happen.
Yeah.
I go to the next hospital. They said your liver has failed you. We need to get you completely tested and prepped because we're basically putting you on transplant list. You have to have a transplant.
right.
I said, I could do this. No. I told the doctors, I'm going to take care of myself.
Oh, yeah.
The alcoholic in me was so strong,
Yeah.
and I think it was layered with the guilt of, I'm the reason I'm here. So I made it somehow selfish. I'm the reason I'm here. I'm going to fix this. I still told myself, I'm going to
Okay.
be the director right now, and you're not going to tell me I need a transplant.
Well, we are smart.
Of course.
Yeah.
And I know exactly. And also, I mean, I'm Googling also, what's liver, like what's the recovery of a liver transplant? It's like, it's effing horrifying. And I'm like,
Shit, man.
okay, well, and I had one doctor, it was like 1 out of 10 doctors disagree that this toothpaste, I
That's
had
all
one
you
doctor
needed.
that was like, you will be able to, I think you'll be able to survive in some fashion. He went through the whole laundry list of you need to have dialysis 3 times a week. And the bloating, again, was my kidneys not working, so that fluid would go into my body. About 4 times a week, they would have to come in and drain it. It was a paracentesis, they called it. And they'd stick a needle in you, and they would take out 6 liters of fluid.
Holy shit.
Right then and there.
It's
and my body was there.
Were you scared?
Horrified.
Scared for your life?
Horrified. I mean, the way they had to convince me to have the transplant was the head of surgery had to come in the day before I was supposed to be discharged, because they said that I was basically had them convinced I'm going to go get dialysis 3 times a week. I'm going to go get a paracentesis twice a week and still live a normal life. Because that's how the alcoholic thinks, is I could make that function down the road. I could do that. And I'm sitting there getting vitals every 2.5, 3 hours. You know, my sleep cycle was completely messed up for so long. And he came in, had a surgery comes in after I said, nope, not going to get it. And I had people come in, transplant teams, telling me how it would work. And my MELD score was so high.
How old are you at this time?
I am 39 years old.
Okay, so
I'm
you're
currently
not
40.
old.
Yep, I'm 40 years old right now.
Yeah.
And thankfully, you know, I was still me and personality-wise mixed with the alcoholic. I can feel comfortable being myself, but also just blindly optimistic that I could do it. And I think it was a mixture of me convincing myself I could go home, and also I need help. Because when I was there, I was detoxing, sure, but I was physically detoxing, but I wasn't getting the spiritual detox that you get from AA and programs that you get of, you know, just knowing that I had a disease, you know. And in a group that I'm in, I'm lucky enough that somebody refers to it as, you know, alcoholism isn't a casserole style disease. And what that is like cancer. Someone finds out you have cancer, they're bringing you casseroles, they're bringing you dinners and what have you. You find out he's an alcoholic, and they're like, oh,
yeah, Jesus.
Good luck to him.
Yeah, right. Better him than me.
And so I felt so guilty for it, and the doctor came in, and the head of surgery came in and said, what is your plan? Why are you doing this to yourself and your son? And I'm like, what do you mean? And he's like, if there was 100 mics in this room right now, and they're in your position, I say there's a 5% chance that one of those mics survives, and all those other mics are dead. He's like, you will
5% that one will survive.
Correct statement. He said, you will not make it to Christmas, and I guarantee you. And I said, I'm going to do my best.
Holy shit.
Dead serious. And so my wife was actually somewhat on board with the we can make it work, just because she was optimistic in the same mindset. And I sat there, and that's where everything kind of hit me
like a
in the
freight
face.
train.
And the other doctor that told us, you know, maybe there is a chance, the 1 in 10 doctors, called my wife while the head of surgery was talking to me. And we both had that moment, because I called her right after he left. And it was a Friday night. They were going home. And I said, I might be wrong. And she's like, I think we might be wrong. And we both just kind of clicked. We're like, we're being a little crazy here. And
well, she's probably holding on to hope that you're going to be okay.
Of course.
And you're holding on to hope that I can maybe continue what I was doing.
Sure.
That transplant is daunting. It's a lot to face.
Whoa, hell
it is.
Yeah.
It was a tough pill to swallow, but I think at that moment I hit the peak of quit lying to yourself about this part. And I've accepted I'm powerless over alcohol, but at this point in time, I'm how far into... I mean, at this point in time, I was a month and a couple days sober, technically. My sober date's 7/20. I was in the hospital until the middle of September, post-transplant, because we both agreed at that moment, let's say yes. And I tried to find that doctor.
Sounds like a higher power moment to me.
Holy guac. And I said, let's do this. And he'd already left for the day. And in my head, I'm like, I missed my chance. That's it.
Right.
And sent emails, all that kind of stuff. And it was about 3 days later, they found a transplant.
Wow.
It was very quick. I was very lucky,
shit.
very blessed. I don't know if it was my charming smile or what it was that got them to nod and say, hook them up. But I know that I was on the top of their conversational list because I was at a hospital.
You're young.
I was young. I had the kid. I had
Can
optimism.
I tell you a little quick quip from my life? My father was
Please.
dying of cirrhosis.
Sure.
And they called me to come to the hospital to see him for the last time. And when I knew it, you know, and I got up there, and as I got to his room, I saw there was like 20 people there. And I'm thinking, he's dead.
Right.
And my mother comes out. She goes, they just called from, this was a long time ago. Sure. They just called from Pittsburgh. They found a liver.
Bite your tongue.
They're flying us out tonight. Can you go home and pack me a suitcase? And he got a liver transplant.
yeah.
It was a long time ago.
Sure.
It didn't last for long.
Sure.
But it was the same kind of a thing. It was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how many lucky stars I can, I wished
seriously.
on, but it was, I mean, those months in the hospital, and I mean, not to have anyone to talk to in those months that was in a similar mindset. Don't get me wrong, I have friends that are great support groups. I have
Of
the most
course.
amazing wife, and
But nobody that's been through this with you.
not someone that I was able to rely on. I don't want to say it in a way that's offensive to anybody, but it's just the people I have are fantastic and amazing. I didn't have an AA group or anything.
Right.
Where
Alcoholics
I could feel,
understand alcoholics
Sure.
so
Right.
clearly.
Sure.
You know?
And that relation is what helps us.
Yeah.
very much so.
So you go ahead.
I do. Well, we'll say it went and had the transplant, and it was easy peasy.
Yeah.
Hell
It was a
no.
bitch,
it was
right?
100%. I had it Labor Day weekend was when I had it. I had it Thursday afternoon. Doctors were off until Tuesday. I was bedridden, not seen until Tuesday, specifically by like my transplant team. So I hadn't moved my legs at all. And my leg muscle, since I was in the hospital the whole time, I didn't walk
Atrophied.
at all. I had no muscle
Yeah.
whatsoever. So before I could even begin focusing on alcoholic, spiritual recovery, I couldn't walk. I had to ask. I still wanted like some control, some just piece of control, and even to go number 2 in the hospital, you got to ask for a bedpan. You got to ask for help, and it was just the most like
Very
mind
humbling,
wrenching.
huh?
Because the one thing, me as an alcoholic, the hardest thing I ever was able to do was ask for help.
Oh, yeah.
Holy crap. And to even people that are paid to help you out, to come in and say,
Right. This is my job.
Yeah.
This is what I do.
And that's what they
Nope.
tell me all the time is like, I'm so sorry for this. And they're like, stop apologizing. Like,
Yeah.
you just had a transplant. Shut your mouth. And it was, those next months were very physically difficult. I was in the hospital again I had the transplant the 25th of August. I didn't leave until the 12th of September. So I was in there a couple weeks, but they almost treated it like, you should be sitting up by now, Mike, come on. Like, but they were doing it in an encouraging way.
That's right.
Yeah.
It was like, I had X amount of staples. I think in the end I counted it was like 44 staples across my body.
Did they send anybody in to talk to you about alcoholism?
Yes.
Okay.
Towards the end of it, it was a realization, and there were talks about that, and social workers and groups that I needed it to be set up with. I was not allowed to have the transplant unless I agreed to go through a
Okay.
local counseling system.
And so were you willing to admit, yes, it's a
Oh,
fucking
gosh.
problem?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
It was. I to look at pictures of myself. I took a couple photos when I was in the hospital because my son wouldn't visit me in the hospital. Thankfully, I didn't feel comfortable with him coming to see me when I was in that state, but he didn't feel comfortable just in the hospital in general. So in my head, at some point in time, I was thinking, I'm never going to see my kid again physically, and that just broke me completely. And I was lucky enough to have friends visit me, but they told me, and I was able to admit it. Yeah, I do. And they said, we believe you. And obviously, they wouldn't give me the transplant if they didn't sense my commitment.
Right.
But in that same regard, we need to see the proof in the pudding. You have to go to not only AA meetings, but I've been set up with a counseling group that I've been going to consistently since October that I've been
Was
back.
it like an addiction counseling
Yep.
group? Okay.
Yep, go twice a week.
So what was your first AA meeting like?
So that's where it's ironic is I couldn't walk.
Yeah, you couldn't get to him.
I couldn't go to
I
a
remember
meeting
this
for
part of the story that you shared.
So I was they wouldn't let me leave the hospital until I could go up and down 3 stairs. And that was my goal for a week. I was lying in bed, my muscles still didn't work, so I looked online for workouts for your body of lifting your leg, how to get your quads back while just being in bed. And I've got 5 awesome workouts that you can do if you want to work on them of holding your legs in a position. I was able to do it, and I was sent home, and I had a bed downstairs because we had a bedroom upstairs, and I was bedridden for X amount of weeks until I could physically walk. I had to have someone, physically with me 24 hours a day for the first couple of weeks. A lot of the things that I would get in written paper were based on people that were about 65 years old, because that's usually the age of what you deal with. First AA meeting I went to was online.
Yep.
Because I wasn't able to physically go to these meetings. So I started my counseling, and it was great. It's a group of people that have been through the same thing that do have to work programs, and it's been one of the best groups that I have worked with. I feel like
So
they
are these
my
all
home.
transplant people?
No, I'm the only. I'm one of the snowflakes. As much as I like to
Okay,
feel like
all right.
I am unique on it, everybody puts their pants on the same way. It's something that I've humbly
Yeah,
learned
yeah.
in this process.
Yeah.
I just got a really cool scar that has fun stories behind it. But It's all addicts and alcoholics in the same fashion,
Okay.
and it's basically my original home group.
So you go on the Zoom meetings.
Yep, and I started local too.
What do you think? I mean, what is your impression of it?
Like any meeting, and as somebody that is finally coming into the world that was filled with social anxiety, and the only way to get rid of your anxiety is to drink, I'm like, oh shit, what am I getting into
Yeah, right. You
here?
don't have that now.
I don't have the.
Right, but then do you start to hear your story?
Yes.
You're like, holy shit,
For sure.
I'm
I
not
mean,
the only one.
In the end, as cool as, I like to say that my extreme story is with it, I relate to any and every story that I can hear. And I try to make myself do so, because if I don't try to relate or feel like I can't share my story, then I'm not going to get anything out of this spiritually. I need, there's a purpose for every meeting, even if it's about just a random tradition. It'll end up being specifically hitting me in some way, and I love that. It's
So for a while you go to Zoom meetings.
Yep.
And so do you get a sponsor over Zoom, or how's that work?
so this is where you're gonna boo-hiss me. You're gonna shake your finger and you're gonna do the flick thing.
It won't last long.
Thanks. I still don't have a sponsor.
Son of a bitch.
I understand that.
It won't last long.
I know. I've been hunching it.
So then you start going to live meetings after a while. How long?
It
did
took me a
take you?
while.
Yeah.
Gosh. So Zoom meetings became, if you grow comfortable and it becomes a routine, similar to even the drinking, but just routines help ground me. I still have a couple that I still attend on my Zoom meetings.
Yeah.
And they're very helpful. Same people that you see all the time, but it is a meeting, unfortunately, in some sense, that you can turn the video off and you can do
other
laundry.
things.
You can do some dishes while you're on I went to a meeting today, but Zoom meetings only give you so much. Physically, in-person meetings, I didn't start until about a month and a half ago.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
No lie.
What was it like when you went to your first
In
live
person?
meeting?
Sure. It was a morning meeting that I went to, because I figured if I get it out of the way in the morning, then, I can't dread that during the day of, oh gosh, I got to go to it. Oh gosh, I got to go to it. First meetings are always very interesting, because the moment that it is a first meeting, it almost turns into an introduction to AA for that person. In some
So
fashion.
did you raise your hand and say, this is my first live meeting?
I went to a lot of online meetings, but this is my first physical one, and like 5 heads went, oh?
Oh,
They're like, hey.
yes, you got a new one.
Yeah.
And everyone would make sure they would say, hi, Mike, I'm so-and-so, and I'm an alcoholic. And
Yeah.
so I got names, I got some numbers, and all that kind of stuff. I'm not the best morning person still, though. I'm not gonna. I'm in a much better role of not lying, and that's where that little segment that I was talking about is. That section of lies and worrying about how I'm going to make the stop at the liquor store at home and where am
now
I going to
freed
hide
up.
this one. Holy crap.
It's freed up.
I've got that new ability to figure out who I am as a person now. And like we were talking about, it worries me every now and then when I go to, hang out with friends and all that knew me in my drunkest days. And when I was dealing with just the woe is me tour of 2024 and 25. And I was living in it and loving it, because I feel like I need to be... I still love my friends and still want to be around them, but there are times that we'll hang out that they'll be like, remember that time? And I'm like, shit, no.
I do not.
At all. And it pains me to say that, but also, and this is what, one day at a time is no joke, because if you told me a year ago that I would be sitting with you guys talking about my sobriety that I've had,
Right.
I would, call
Right.
you liarest liar that ever came from Liar Town. What was that sentence even? I don't even know. But it's just so baffling to me to know that I could do that. But I think it shows that, you can make your laundry list of what you're sorry about, and it's very important to do that at some point in time. And you can, but to say you're sorry to somebody for being an alcoholic is one thing, but it's living amends every single day, I think, is the biggest way to show that you're changing. Because I'm changing every day in my head, but I see you maybe once, twice a week.
Yeah.
He still looks like Mike. He looks like he's coming to a meeting. So, okay, he's doing, but the amount of work I'm doing on me is leaps and bounds of what I've ever believed. I didn't think I would ever be so,
You wouldn't have a thought of having enough self-worth to do it.
not an ounce. And I still use self-deprecation as
I know,
my...
I just yelled at you for it a minute ago.
For sure. It's just my defense mechanism. And
Yeah,
it
of
always
course it
has
is.
been. And it's always been so good of me. But I never would have thought that I would be here today. AA meetings bring me that peace of mind, because it shows, I feel like when I go to a physical one, I feel the commitment to it too. I can
And
sense
it
myself.
fills that empty space that's sitting
100%.
there waiting to be filled with either or.
Yeah. and
100%.
The thing is, newly sober people, it's a little precarious
because they don't yet realize how diligent you have to be.
Very much so.
And a lot, I think that's why a lot of people go out early on. You have to be super diligent. You have to work on it every single day. Wake up with a new case of alcoholism every day.
Yeah.
And you got to work on it every day. And sometimes when you become sober at first, it feels like, I got this.
Right. The pink cloud.
Yeah. And so, going to meetings on a regular basis really helps
For sure.
that.
Yeah.
So you don't have a sponsor. Are you thinking about it?
Always, yeah. I think I've reached that point in time of I've read the big book a couple times. I thankfully have my. I see that smile on your face. Yes, of course. I have my group meeting that I go to, which like I said, I consider my home group because I see them twice a week, and it's fantastic, and they're good friends of mine. And I've been going to these local meetings, and it's also, I feel like those Thursday nights have, that really is a crew that I feel like I can call my home group. I don't know what extra steps I got to do.
You just got to join the group.
Okay.
That's it.
You just walk up to a member of the group, say, I want to join your group. They're like, thank God, give us your number. We need somebody to. And then all of a sudden you can say, my name is Mike, and I'm a
And they go, "Woo!"
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
It's not that big of a deal.
Oh, okay. But
yeah, and so what about working the steps?
So steps, obviously I hear them every day, going to meetings, whether they are online or in person. And spiritually, I feel like I'm in a position where I can and will be excited to do the steps.
Good.
Not only that, but and I don't want to be the person that's like, well, I'm doing my daily inventory anyway, and every day, because I do. I end the day and I make note of what I've done and things that I want to get off my chest. And if it's still on my daily inventory 3 days from now, I'm like, well, you're just hiding that. And that's probably just a resentment that's just going to build in you. And I understand a lot of these things that need to go into it. But to say the things and to put it in practice is two different things. And that's like saying, I'm not going to drink tomorrow and then just having that bottle of gin sitting in my hand.
Yeah.
I know.
And, going through the steps with a sponsor is not you don't graduate.
Yep.
It's just going through it the first time and having somebody that's done it and lived it explain it to you a little bit and answer your questions. Then you move on to the next one. Then you move on to, you know what I mean?
For sure.
And so it's not like, I completed the steps. I 12th grade. I'm out.
I did it.
I'm ready.
It's similar to grief, to where they say that the final step of grief is acceptance, but I don't think there's a final step in grief.
Right.
Because you're going to experience that every single day. You can't say, all right, well, my brother's dead and that chapter's closed in my life. No way. Unless I'm the most sociopathic person that says, that's done. Yeah. It's not possible. If you have empathy and sympathy, and in AA, you learn that. Part of it is fellowship. It is wanting to be here, and that's why I was excited to walk in here today and tell my story in some fashion. And if you want to do a secondary podcast of just how long it took me to actually go for a walk, and me walking into my first doctor's appointment and slipping a little bit and crouching down because my quad still didn't work, and I was stuck there for a half hour until my wife found somebody to help her. It's a whole story, sure. But I didn't think that I would be sitting here right now and know that I wouldn't think I would have the confidence to tell this story lying in the bed.
Well,
it's pretty incredible.
It is, and I can tell you this: as incredible as your story is,
sure,
it's going to be more incredible.
Oh,
it
baby.
really is.
I'm like I'm starting to get.
At my first year, I didn't see that.
Sure.
I was like, okay, now I quit drinking and I'm working on myself, and this is great.
Sure.
And then more I worked the steps, the more I got sober, the more I started hanging out with sober people. My life slowly, imperceptibly to me almost, started to get better.
Yeah.
In ways I didn't understand. They, when you come in, they say your life's going to get better beyond your wildest dreams. I'm like, yeah, whatever.
For sure.
Fucking know.
And then you'll reach a part where you don't know what the hell's going on.
Right.
Like my sponsees, every one of them reaches a point and they're just like, I don't know, this is weird territory.
Yeah, sure.
And they're genuinely confused.
Yeah, and I'm excited for you for that.
Thank you.
Oh my God.
I appreciate that.
You kidding me?
Yeah.
I won't sleep
But
tonight.
don't because you've made it this far without a sponsor. I think that's great. And it says a
Nah,
lot
I
about.
don't think it
but
is.
no, but it says a lot about your commitment.
Yeah.
And your
willingness to learn.
And
about it.
yeah. But don't deny yourself that great asset.
For sure.
So please keep looking.
Yeah,
and,
absolutely.
Keep advancing.
I'll give some people a shot, I guess.
Yeah. You should.
No, and I look forward to it. And that's the thing is like similar to AA meetings and all that. And at first, and I'll tell you, I'll give my last little side story, is that when I got out of my, had the transplant, came out of it and said, all right, so I got to find AA meetings I can go to that I feel comfortable with. But I should find AA meetings that are online because I can't get in the meetings. Okay, cool. But I should find online meetings that are based on people that have had a liver transplant before because I'm going through something that nobody else has gone through before. So that way I can truly relate to people. Yeah. Okay, but I want to look for people that are on my coast. That way I can go on meetings that are in the morning that have liver transplant.
Uniqueness.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
And so when I
our
told
terminal
that,
uniqueness will kill us.
and they're like, and I said it in my counseling group, and my main counselor was like, we're all just alcoholics, right? And I'm like, well, yeah. And she's like, how do you put your pants on? She's like,
Yeah.
Everybody else is doing the same thing, man.
Yeah. Don't overthink
and just
it.
humbled me real quick, and I'm like, okay. And I'm like, oh, I relate to this. I relate to that. Oh, I'm home. Damn. And it just, I haven't looked back.
And home is a great place to be, man.
Yeah.
And welcome to the journey.
Appreciate it. It's fun, and I'm lucky enough to, I'm happy to look at myself in the mirror now. I can tell you that every day.
It's huge.
Mark knows about that.
I do.
Nuts.
I do. So,
not so yellow anymore.
Mike, thank you so much for
I appreciate
coming
that, guys.
in.
Thanks for
And,
tolerating
we
me.
might check back with you in a while.
Yeah.
Buckle up.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
So, but until next time on the Glumlot Podcast, I'm Mark.
I'm Brett.
I'm Mike.
As we wrap up another episode of the Glumlot Podcast, we want to extend our heartfelt gratitude to each and every one of you who tuned in today. Navigating the path to recovery from alcohol and other substances is a journey filled with challenges, triumphs, and self-discovery. Remember, we're not affiliated with Alcoholics Anonymous, but we're here to provide a safe space for open conversations about the complexities of recovery. Your stories, courage, and resilience inspire us and our listeners alike. If you or someone you know is on the transformative journey, know that you're not alone. Join us next time as we continue to explore the diverse facets of recovery. Until then, stay strong, stay connected, and remember that each day is a step towards a brighter, sober tomorrow. Thank you for being part of the Glumlot community.